On a cold November evening, the Adam family moved into an old house on the outskirts of the city. The house was huge, its walls covered in a thick layer of dust, and the windows creaked with every gust of wind, like an old man groaning in his sleep. Still, the family was happy with their new home. At least at first, it was a fresh start, a new chapter. They unpacked their boxes, filled with hopes and dreams, blissfully unaware of the chapter that was about to be written for them. That first night, as the house settled into a deep, unsettling silence, the mother, Layla, was startled awake. She heard footsteps in the hallway just after midnight, a slow, deliberate tread. She thought her young son, Kareem, had gotten out of bed, perhaps for a glass of water. So she quietly slipped out of her room and went to check on him. But when she peeked into his room, he was sound asleep, his small chest rising and falling in a peaceful rhythm. Puzzled, she dismissed it as the house's old bones settling and returned to her room. But as her hand touched the doorknob, she heard the footsteps again. This time, they were closer, so close, it felt like someone was standing right behind her. She froze, her heart pounding against her ribs, but when she spun around, the hallway was empty, swallowed by shadows. The next day, the strangeness escalated. Doors that had been firmly shut would swing open on their own. The polished mirrors in the bathroom would suddenly fog up with a cold, icy mist, even when the air was warm, and then there was the voice. A faint, ethereal whisper seemed to drift down from the attic, a chilling plea that snaked its way through the floorboards. Return what you took. It isn't yours. Layla told her husband, but he just laughed it off. He said it was their imagination, their nerves getting the better of them in a new, unfamiliar place. Old houses make noises, he'd say, patting her hand reassuringly. He was a man of logic, and ghosts didn't fit into his neat, orderly world. He believed that until the next morning. He found his son, Kareem, sitting on the floor in the living room. The boy wasn't playing with his toys. He was just sitting there, staring intently into the empty corner of the room, as if watching something the adults couldn't see. His expression was one of solemn curiosity. When his father asked him what he was looking at, Kareem turned his head slowly, his eyes wide and serious. "The sad woman," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "She said she used to live here. She wants her family back." A cold dread washed over the father. This wasn't just an old house making noises anymore. This was something else, something that was talking to his son. Driven by a growing fear, the father finally decided to confront the source of the whispers. He pulled down the rickety attic ladder and climbed into the dusty darkness above. The air was thick and stagnant, smelling of decay and forgotten memories. In a far corner, under a dusty white sheet, he found a small wooden chest. His hands trembled as he lifted the lid. Inside, nestled among moth-eaten clothes, was an old photograph in a tarnished silver frame. He picked it up and his blood ran cold. It was a picture of a family that looked disturbingly, unnervingly like theirs. The same number of people, the same gentle-faced mother, the same strong-jawed father, the same small, bright-eyed son. The resemblance was uncanny, almost an exact mirror image across time. But there was something terrifyingly wrong with the photo. Its edges were charred and burned, and the eyes of each person in the picture had been violently scratched out with thick, furious black lines, leaving behind empty, soulless voids. That night, a blood-curdling scream tore through the silence of the house. It was Kareem. Layla and her husband scrambled out of bed and sprinted to his room, their hearts hammering in their chests. They burst through the door to a scene of pure chaos. The window was thrown wide open, the cold night wind whipping the curtains into a frantic dance. And there, lying on his son's empty bed, was the old photograph from the attic. They flipped it over. On the back, scrawled in what looked like dark red ink, were the words, "The house is back to its owners." Panic seized them. Kareem was gone. The room was empty. The wind held through the open window, and the house seemed to be laughing at them. The next morning, the neighbors noticed the eerie silence emanating from the old house. The car was still in the driveway, but there was no sign of life. No lights, no movement, no children playing in the yard. Worried, they called the police. When the officers arrived, they found the house completely, utterly empty. There was no trace of the Adam family. Their clothes were still in the closets, food was on the table. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. A frantic search began, but the family was never seen again. They became another local legend, another ghost story told to scare children on dark nights, but in the attic, in that dusty, forgotten space. The old wooden chest sat where it had been left, and inside, there was a new photograph, a photograph of the Adam family. The same gentle-faced mother, the same strong-jawed father, the same bright-eyed son, and just like the one before it. The eyes of each person had been viciously scratched out, leaving behind nothing but empty, black voids. The house had its family back. It had taken what it believed was its own. And now, it just waits, silent and patient, for the next family to fall in love with its old-world charm, ready to add another photo to its grim collection. Thanks for sticking with me through that chilling tale. If you love stories that keep you up at night, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more mysteries and dark tales coming your way. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single one. Until next time, stay safe and maybe think twice before moving into that charming old house.